Hello folks. Well, after 30-something days and almost 5 weeks of being on the road through the American region known as the South, I am pretty tired. We have been to many places, many new states, many regions, so much excitement along this grand old journey. On this Southeast tour, we have seen places that are, well, interesting to say the least. We've visited states and places that are questionably the South. We've visited the Atlantic southern states, the Carolinas, Georgia. We visited Florida, of course, but not the Florida you may be thinking of. We've seen places along the Gulf of Mexico. We've also traveled up the Mississippi River, visiting states like Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas even. And now, well, we are in our final destination. That's right, sadly after all this time and after 20 plus destinations, it all comes down to where we are right here today. But don't worry, I have a massive treat for you. We've visited places along this trip representative of the sea, the water. We've been on the turf, the land. And now, I think it's time that we visit some place, neither land nor sea, but rather underground. Now, I did say Arkansas was our last new state, and that stands true. We are in a new state for this trip, but a familiar state for us on the coverage project. We're in Kentucky. Last trip, last fall, we did visit a lot of places in the bluegrass state. But around this region of Kentucky, it's not really known for its bluegrass. We're in what's known as the Pennyrile region of Kentucky. This is the south central part of Kentucky, a little bit west of all the places that we did visit in Kentucky last time we visited. What I want to show you is, well, if this camera can pick it up, in the distance, there's a river. And that river is known as the Green River. And it flows throughout this Pennyrile region, and it's a tributary of the Greater Ohio River. Now that Green River, as it's called, if it did get picked up on the camera, is visible because it's an above-ground river. Yet, where we are standing and walking, there is actually an underground river, believe it or not. This region of Kentucky is known for, among many things like its nature of lakes and rivers, also holds a vast system of caves. And because of the way geology happened here in North America, hundreds of millions of years ago, a huge system of caves developed. And we're still, today, trying to figure out to what size these caves are. But one thing is known for sure. Mammoth Cave National Park is home to the largest cave system in the world. It's a national park, plus it's also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And for this area's significance, I had to include it for our finale video on the Southeast tour. Kentucky is still part of the South. I don't know about the Southeast, maybe it might be, but we can sure squeeze it in on the coverage project for our Southeast tour. So of course, Mammoth Cave National Park is another example of a place with beautiful nature. Now this park is famous for its extensive series of cave networks, but you can still have a nice time on a trail like this. The last one we were on is called the Turnhole Bend Trail, and this one is called the Cedar Sink Trail. And some are strenuous, some are not, some are very easygoing, but the trails here in Mammoth Cave sometimes lead to some nice gems. My oh my, what's this? Guess we'll just have to see. Oh no, that is amazing to witness. Now I guess there should be a body of water around here. You might be able to see it towards that bottom part. But this is a small section of this underground river system. And so normally this body of water would ultimately flow underground and then resurface at different points. but you can also see the huge amount of rock to the side. You don't normally think of the state of Kentucky being associated with this type of landscape. Canyon-like structures, mountainous terrain. No, that's not really what I think of. For right now, as I walk through this area, the Cedar Sink, I can tell you that this cave is about 15 million years old. That's longer than any of us have been alive to recount the story of how this cave system developed. And humans have been here for thousands of years. First it was the Native Americans, and then when the Europeans arrived, they used this cave system as a mine for saltpeter. It's an ingredient in making gunpowder. So during the time of the War of 1812, this Mammoth Cave was utilized pretty effectively. But after the war ended, people started exploring this cave system. And they realized just how long and expansive this cave really is. And now today, surveyors have tracked down over 400 miles of caves in this area. This makes it the largest in the world. Wow, look at this. As we get towards the depths, we can really see the magnitude, the size of this whole cave canyon area. Now, I don't want to get too caught up falling down into this pit. I want to get out eventually so we can explore the cave. This national park offers many, many different tours of different parts of the cave. There's not just one tour, but there's so many different parts of the cave, highlighting different features, different topics related to the history of this cave, the geology, the water systems. Just one of many sights you can see on the trails scattered throughout the area known as Mammoth Cave National Park. So now, let's actually go inside one of the caves. I booked a tour. I don't know what to really expect. I came here just thinking, okay, I'll get the generic tour. So hopefully we see some incredible underground sights. I'm very excited. So let's do that. Well, that was a pretty cool experience going a few hundred feet underground. So you saw all those systems of caves, which span not only horizontally, but vertically. Beautiful sights, and with the dark, dim lighting, it just felt like such a surreal experience. So I'd totally recommend. That was just one tour. There are several every day throughout various times. So there's always a tour ready for you. A word of advice though, when you're in a group, be mindful of where you are in line. You don't want to be behind the wrong people per se. And to put it in a respectful manner, different people can't help but go at their own pace. I would recommend going in the front. If you like going in the back, just make sure you're comfortable with that. But make sure you are in a position in line that you are comfortable with. Especially in those claustrophobic spaces, because it gets real short, real narrow, real quickly. Many reasons attributed to Mammoth Cave gaining this national park status, a status that only 63 areas have. But none is probably more significant in allowing this park the publicity needed to become a national park than the events which happened to Floyd Collins. I want to show you something. This is Sand Cave. Now, Floyd Collins lived nearby this cave, and he was an avid caver. I mean, you talk about this cave continuously being explored and having new areas. Well, Floyd Collins wanted to do just that, and he explored very narrow passages deep underground through Sand Cave. But one day in 1925, Floyd Collins became entrapped within the confines of a narrow cave, and for almost 2 weeks, he was trapped there. Many rescue efforts tried to get him back out, but to no avail. In fact, one of the rescue attempts further entrapped him into this deep crevice. With these efforts becoming more and more futile, time was running out for Floyd Collins. When finally, one attempt to dig a tunnel into the crevice in which he was stuck finally found him, he was dead. It was too late. As those days of Floyd Collins' unfortunate series of circumstances in the cave happened, news coverage gained more and more traction, and soon it was a huge national story. And this was a story which allowed the Mammoth Cave area to be recommended towards national park status. And finally, in 1941, just a little more than a decade and a half later, Mammoth Cave was officially named a national park. But there we have it. This ends our day here in Mammoth Cave National Park. It's a shame I am unfortunately here for only one day. With the sheer amount of caves that this park area offers, plus the endless amount of trails all around the area that are protected and designed for people to bask at the karst topography that we have in this area. I should have, booked a second day. Maybe that's my fault. But this definitely warrants more than just one day here. If you are here, go for at least 2, 3, 4 days. You'll get the full experience. I mean, having been toured for over 200 years, you can very well consider Mammoth Cave one of America's oldest tourist destinations. So don't cave in to your apprehensions about visiting this area. Come for a visit, you will not regret it. You see what I did there with the cave in? But anyway, not only are we done today here in Mammoth Cave, but we are done with the entire Southeast tour here on the Coverage Project. Thus ends another tour, but as always, a new tour begins, new adventures await us here on the Coverage Project. I also want to just insert a little bit of dialogue here, thanking you all for everything you've been doing here on this channel, from just simple viewership to support in the comments or whatever. I do appreciate it very much. And for that, I can say 2022 is going to be a great year of travel. The adventures only continue here. We're going to go to many new states. We're going to go to many new regions, meet so many people, immerse ourselves in the culture of America even more than last year. Now, I don't know, of course, when you'll all be getting to see these videos roll out, but nevertheless, get excited. We have plenty of content to get through. Well, I think I've said everything that I needed to say here. So overlooking Sand Cave here in Mammoth Cave National Park, ever appreciative for the support on this channel as we complete our newest tour, the Southeast tour. More travels to come. I will see you at the next location.